So I'm back, and for today we're going to cover this video by Jam and Warren, which was uploaded August 29th of 2014. Some of you might recognize that date, some of you may recognize the day before. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about any of the names that he mentions. We're not going to be talking about anything that doesn't relate to what Jam and Warren has to say. Because this guy is an ideologue. I said it in the previous video. Some of you, for whatever reason, admitted that you used to be fucking subscribed to this guy. And it amazes me how you could get through 10 minutes of any one of his fucking videos without realizing he's a fucking hack. This guy could be talking about any other fucking subgroup, any subculture, any community. He could be talking about cars, chess, fashion, fitness, atheism, anything. He could be talking about it and using the exact same fucking arguments. And he would, because he's an ideologue. We're going to take on his opinions. We're going to take on what he has to say about gaming. Because it's ridiculous. And we're just going to go through it point by point.
I have two specific things that I do want to talk to all of you at Game Show about that are definitely related. I think the first is that I don't think at this point we're even really talking about game journalism or sort of our feminism at this point. I don't think we're actually talking about any of those things. I think we're talking about something else. And I think it can be explained by a concept that I've talked about in past episodes. It's known as in-group, out-group dynamics. It's been studied by sociologists. Specifically this concept of in-group favoritism. And it works like this. You identify with certain people that you share interests in common, and then you create some sort of social identity. That's essentially your in-group. When someone from the outside comes in and either wants to be a part of the in-group or challenges core beliefs of what your in-group has, then people freak out.
Before we get to his next point, one, as I've said before, how is anyone going to stop you from playing a game? It's literally impossible to stop you from buying a game. No one's going to stop you on the PlayStation Store. No one's going to stop you at whatever the fuck Xbox offers. No one's going to stop you on Steam. No one's going to stop you walking into GameStop. There is nothing preventing you from buying into this medium to the limited capacity that you become a gamer from buying games and playing them. No one can stop you. And I demand a single fucking example that is not totally asinine or ludicrous in saying that that's possible, that someone can prevent you from joining the subculture in part by buying a fucking game. Second, there are so many examples in gaming in which there are people that can say who is in and who is out. And they have that right. They have that authority. It's a fucking social club on the internet. They're under no obligation to allow people in. So when you state this concept as if there's something wrong with discrimination in this sense, I'll just say they have the authority so they can do what they want. And on top of that, stop assuming the worst in people. Stop assuming the worst, that people are going to base their decisions on notions of race or gender or all the other bullshit you talk about on your fucking channel. In my experience, for how many years it's been based on skill. Not gender, not race, none of that shit. It's been based on skill and the personality of the player. Nothing more. Third, the notion that the first interaction you have with members of a subculture is to challenge their core beliefs. And they're supposed to just accept that. That is the most counterproductive way to become part of a fucking subculture. To say that some asshole off the streets is going to come up to any serious gamer and tell them what is wrong with their subculture as someone that isn't part of it. That's their first interaction with gaming, is to just come up to people and say, here, let me tell you what's wrong with your core beliefs.
And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing right now is that, that there's a segment of people who consider themselves gamers, have sort of owned that tag, and that they feel basically under attack. They feel under threat. I think understanding that dynamic at least gives some context for why what we're seeing is happening. And I think it also expands it in the sense that this is not something that's just limited to gamer behavior, but it's a problem elsewhere in the world. The second thing is a little bit more proactive. If you're someone who loves games, every time somebody does something, whether it's something violent or something racist or misogynistic or whatever it might be, anytime somebody does something like that in the name of games, you carry that burden along with you.
So, no one is committing violence in the name of gaming. No one. Absolutely no one is committing violence in the name of gaming. That is not a thing. I reject that on its face. Prove it otherwise, because I'm just dismissing that. On to the point of racism or misogyny. Whatever your standard is for racism or sexism, I don't know it, but I don't agree with it. I can already say that right now. Because to social justice warriors like yourself, everything's racist, everything's sexist. There isn't a single piece of art in a museum that is not sexist, racist, misogynist, Islamophobic, or what the fuck ever to you people. Everything is offensive to you. Everything is degenerate art to you people. So to say that I'm somehow obligated to step up and stop people from committing things that aren't a fucking crime, what do you want me to do, bro? Give me any idea of what I should do. I'm going to go after other people's thought crimes. I'm going to go off and find people on the internet to browbeat because they said something off color. Fuck off, you authoritarian fucking nanny and cunt. I'm not obligated to do jack shit. And you're not going to fucking shame me or any other person into doing anything for you. You don't like something somebody said? You say something to them. You spend an hour or so having a dialogue with them, explaining to them what problematic shit they said. I'm not under any obligation to do fucking anything, especially for shit that is not a crime, that is not anywhere close to being offensive other than to people like you. You want to pass policy to monitor all social media? You want to torch art galleries? Do it on your own fucking time, do it on your own fucking dime, and do it your fucking self. And so that's what I say to you, Jammin Warren. No one's committing any crimes, and if you have a problem with what's happening, your perceived slights, your perceived actions taken by gamers, we're leveling up every day. You do something about it, fucko. I'm not doing anything.
Because to the outside world, people who don't play games, they get a limited amount of perspective in terms of what it means to be someone who plays games. So every time something pops up, and you saw it this week, there are articles in Slate, there are articles in the New York Times, there are articles elsewhere. Anytime something pops up that casts a particular light on gamers, as it were, then we all sort of carry that burden, we carry that expectation with us. And so that means that we all have a collective responsibility to maintain our public identity as a group.
So there's two things here. One, you're asserting that the public at large has an issue with gaming. Not just these hack writers from Slate and New York Times and the rest of these fucking rags. You're saying the public at large has an issue with gaming. Prove it. You're saying something with no evidence supporting it. And I'm telling you now, I'm dismissing it until you can prove what you're saying. Poll the American public and present me that data so that I can actually understand what the public's problem is with gaming. I can't address something that I don't see. What is their issue? I don't trust any of the news outlets, so do some polling and come back to me so that I can understand what the issue is. Second, let's say you come back with that data. You come back and say exactly what the public thinks of gaming. Even if we accepted that in whole cloth, the next part is, what the fuck do you want us to do about it? We don't have a goddamn PR firm waiting in the wings to improve our fucking image. We're not campaigning to be goddamn president. We're sitting on our ass playing video games. We have nothing more in common than that. You're a goddamn idiot.
If we don't, then all of a sudden you end up with a community that you don't really want to be a part of, which is kind of how I'm feeling right now. Like maybe I feel a little embarrassed about the fact that I have to explain to people that that someone who's giving a critique, regardless of how you feel about that critique, someone who gave a critique of a particular game or set of games had to be chased from their home because, the internet stormed upon them. That's pretty embarrassing for me. Maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you don't.
You know what's beautiful about allegations? Is when someone like Jammin Warren uses it as a blunt instrument to beat over the head of people that are not at all culpable. Get fucking real, dude. This is something that has been beaten to death and has been reported and re-reported again and again and again to somehow be set at the feet of gamers when it is total fucking horseshit on its face. Not in the sense that what allegedly happened didn't happen, but the fact that gamers are somehow responsible. Find me the fucking perpetrator. If you can speak to something, do so, but base it on something that is credible, some fucking form of evidence. Until then, dismissed.
Regardless, I would ask that, for those of you out there who don't necessarily agree with Anita Sarkeesian, you don't necessarily agree with Zoe Quinn, whoever it might be, take a look at what it is that you're writing on the internet and read it out loud to someone in real life. And if you feel like there's something that you would write down that you feel comfortable saying to another person to their face, then go ahead, hit enter. Put it on the internet. You should feel very proud about that. If you don't, then you probably shouldn't post it. This seems very straightforward, but there's this thing called the online disinhibition effect, where people make a disconnect between what they do in their online lives and what they do in their offline lives. And so I think we have a responsibility, obviously, to acknowledge that and to make sure that we're saying kind and meaningful things.
That's your opinion, Jammin. My opinion is that people should follow the law. That's it. Everything else is up to them. Whether they want to be nice or an asshole online, whether they want to be anonymous or put their name online, that's up to them. No one forced you to put your fucking face on a camera. No one forced Anita Sarkeesian to put her face in front of a camera and upload the video. No one's obligated to act or react in any kind of way. If they want to be taboo, if they want to be rude, if they just want to be a jerk, that's on them. It says nothing about me, it says nothing about you, it says nothing about anyone else other than that one fucking individual. Stop glomming on to others what is a single person's actions. And so I say to you listening to this, follow the law and follow your own fucking conscience.
The other thing is that if you're someone who wants to be a part of, this gamer community and you see something that you don't like, your form of action could be very different. You could just, it could be a simple downvote, it could be a conversation, whatever it might be.
So I'm just going to end this commentary by making a brief statement to what he has said and just my general thoughts of his position, and it's similar to the position of his ilk. Have you ever thought of just shutting the fuck up and minding your own business? Why is this such an issue for you? Why is this such a thing that you need to incessantly fucking talk about? Your presence is the reason that there's been such a fucking ongoing reaction. It isn't simply I woke up one day and decided that I was going to start talking about social justice warriors and talking about how you guys are all a bunch of cunts. You presented yourself to me, insulted me, and then expected me just to say, oh yeah, thanks for demonizing me. Thanks for labeling me. Thanks for treating me like shit time and time again. And I'm just supposed to take it? And what happened on August 28th, 2014? You and all of your fucking friends said, we're part of our own community now. You are gamers, we're not. Gamers are dead. Fuck right off. You alienated and segregated yourselves away from our community and are sitting there on the sidelines, lobbing constant fucking insults, constant fucking demonization, and labeling us as everything that we are not. We're simply gamers. You can pack your shit up and fuck off. We're telling you as loud and as clear as we possibly can articulate it. If you don't want to be gamers, then fuck off out of gaming. It's that simple. You don't want to be gamers, you don't want to talk about games, you don't want to talk about anything but your social justice bullshit? Form your own little clique and fuck right off to it. We're done with you, but you won't do that. This is all insincere shit. What you are trying to do is change our community into something that it is not. You are trying to turn the gaming subculture into the anti-gaming subculture. You're trying to turn us into something that is antithetical to who we are. We're not burning down any art galleries. We're not saying to artists and fucking creators what they're allowed to make. We're not doing it. We're not relegating and placing boundaries on our artistic expression. We're not doing it. That is what makes gaming, is creativity, is expression. It's the products that come off the fucking shelves and into our systems. That is it. And you people won't respect it. You won't allow these people to act on their own accord. You want to micromanage everybody and every fucking thing. You people are the lunatics, not us.